If you want to set that kind of example, you don't go after this player anymore. And this is a player that I wanted. Anybody who's been with me knows I've made videos upon videos. Look, I like the fact that Ekatike keeps saying that he's a Manchester United fan. I love that. But 100 million or 80 million or whatever he costs, anything more than 50 million for whatever he is not the right deal, even though I actually like the kid. I would be lying to you if I told you I'm not worried. A part of me is worried about what's going to happen and where do we go from here. If this ownership is serious, they got to start acting serious. Money is serious. It was supposed to be a nice day today. It's a nice sunny California day. I'm out. I got the day off of work. I'm supposed to be chilling. I'm supposed to be having fun, but my phone keeps blowing up. People telling me to check out what Fabrizio's saying, check out what Ben Jacobs is dropping. So I look at my phone and I find out Gyokeres would prefer to go to Arsenal, but he hasn't exactly rejected us. What's up, YouTube? Thank you for joining me once again. Thanks for clicking on the thumbnail. There's a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. Guys, you know what to do about the like button. Hit it. Let's get in. Let's get in here, man. So we've been trying to get this man. We've been chasing him for a while. Listen, I'm going to talk about a lot of things that went through my head. I just found out the news about 2.5, 3 hours ago, and I was not home. As soon as I got home, I turned on the camera and we're doing this. But on my time out, on my way home, I've just been thinking about what could have happened. What could have happened? How did this happen? Now, everybody knows that the story went that we were close to closing a deal, that we were talking to Sporting every day. We were talking to Gyokeres every day. I think what happened was that finally, Manchester United probably put the screws on Gyokeres the way we did on Amarim back in November when we said it's either now or never. I think Manchester United probably told Gyokeres that, hey, we're going to either make this bid now or never. We're not waiting for you to make a decision anymore. Are you in or are you out? And then I think that's when his agent went to Arsenal and said, this is your last chance if you want him. Because Manchester United is going to come in and we can't exactly turn them down because we don't know what you're going to do yet. And I think that's why we started hearing stories about Gyokeres' agents meeting with Arsenal, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever it was. Guys, I think that Manchester United, when they finally told Gyokeres, like, we're ready to put this offer in, we're ready to put this bid in, that Gyokeres' agent knocked on Arsenal's door and said, this is your last chance or United's coming in. And that Arsenal told them to hang on, we might still be interested. I think Arsenal is interested in Gyokeres because I don't think Arsenal is going to get the price they want out of Benjamin Sesko, which is a damn shame that Gyokeres is even willing to go to Arsenal when they would rather sign Šeško. The manager over there doesn't want you, bro. You're his second choice. He wants Benjamin Šeško. Our manager wants you. And this is what you let leak to the press. Because believe it or not, this is definitely something he or his manager allowed to leak to the press, that he would rather go to Arsenal or that he favors Arsenal. Where else did this come from? So in my eyes, this deal's got to die. This is over in my eyes. In my eyes, we have to move on. Whether Arsenal end up getting him or not, I don't even care anymore. We have to move on. He let it be known that he would rather go to Arsenal. And to me, I have too much pride. And then also our owners and our manager, who we have to put a little bit of responsibility on. And guys, I don't think I've ever said anything negative about Ruben Amorim. I have backed Ruben Amorim for about everything on every decision. Even when we lost the final, I backed Ruben Amorim and said it's not all his fault. These players are not his players. These players cannot execute what he needs them to execute. But when it comes to this negotiation, when it comes to Viktor Gyökeres, I know that Ruben Amorim has a big hand in it. I know that he's on the phone with them. And if you can't convince the man 100% to forget about every other club and want to join us, and then you come out in press conferences and say, when people don't want to play for us, we don't go for them. When people don't train right, I'd rather play the goalkeeping coach than to train a player that doesn't train right.
Same situation for every player. If you do the maximum, if you do the right things, we can use every player. I will put Vital before I put a player that don't give the maximum every day. So I will not change in that department.
If you want to set that kind of example, you don't go after this player anymore. And this is a player that I wanted. Anybody who's been with me knows I've made videos upon videos saying how perfect Gyokeres would be for our squad. But it's not about that. It's a matter of principle now. it's too late. This shouldn't have happened out in public. Now that it's publicized, it's too late. We cannot be calling him. We cannot be talking to him anymore unless you're just going to call him and say, hey, good luck in the future, but we're done chasing you. That's the only phone call Ruben Amorim should be allowed to make to Viktor Gyökeres from now on. We've got to move on, and we do need a new number 9. We cannot. I've heard some people say that maybe we should shift the money towards a new goalkeeper, a new midfielder, and blah, 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 and forget about the striker until next season. No, we should still get a midfielder. We should still get a goalkeeper. We have the FFP space. We have the PSR space. This is a matter of cash. And again, this is cash that our owners can actually put in, because we are not putting it in to help us with our FFP numbers. We don't need help with FFP and PSR. We are cash poor. This is easily fixed with owners who are willing to inject cash into the project or sell an asset to one of the owners. Something of that nature, the way Chelsea do, the way Barcelona do, the way anybody does. This is not an FFP problem. This is a much easier to solve problem. Cash. You can even use a line of credit, but if you don't want to use a line of credit, fine. Inject your own money in or sell one of our players quickly, because we don't have time to waste. You have players that you need to sell, get them sold. You can't get them sold, that's on you. Inject the cash in until you figure out a way to get them sold, because some of these players are not going to leave until they see that there is no way they're going to get any playing time if they stay. Some of our players are so spoiled and believe they are so powerful. Remember that this club has been all about player power, and the manager's been the one getting kicked out, manager after manager after manager. The players get all the power, the managers get sacked. This has happened far too many times. This time, if you want to do it right, the only reason why the players get power is because the ownership values their asset in the player as in their money. If you show the players that we don't care, man. You want to rot away on the bench? Fine, rot away. We're going to go get your replacement whether you leave or not. So go and buy the replacements that you need to buy so that the players see, oh, he's coming in, I got to go. That's how players of the past were treated. Players of the past would see somebody else walk in through the door and then they would leave. It wasn't like, well, if he doesn't leave, then we can't get his replacement, so we're going to have to try him again for a season. What is that? Why would you leave? I wouldn't leave. If I'm getting paid really well, why would I pick up my whole family and leave and have to sell my house and put my kids in a new school? Why would I have to do all of those things if I don't have to? Why would I do it? Guys, our owners have to show us that they mean the business that they talk. They talk a lot of business. I mean, they say things that we're Manchester United, we need to be treated like Manchester United. They act like we are a powerful organization, that we are doing things the right way. Well, this is a part of doing things the right way. Sometimes you have to inject money in to show your power. You can't just show your power by sacking people, making them redundant and cutting expenses. Sometimes that's not enough. You do those things alongside with injecting more money in. And some of you guys are going to tell me you already injected $300 million in. Obviously, it wasn't enough. If it's not enough, if we're still waiting on players to sell for us to buy players, then $300 million wasn't enough. He should have injected another $100 million. Because another $100 million would pretty much do it, guys. Not even, probably 65. Probably another 65 or 70 million would pretty much do it. I don't care if they have to issue stocks to do it. I don't care if they have to make it as a cash loan to the business with today's interest rates so that no one says anything that we're causing foul play. I don't care if INEOS has to sponsor something. Like the Cunha deal, I saw a Grenadier, a INEOS Grenadier, whatever. Did they pay for that privilege of showcasing their Grenadier or whatever car? If they didn't, then they should, because they're getting free advertising out of Manchester United then. And why not? That's a nice way to inject a little bit of money in. They've got to find ways. Or Barada needs to get on the phone and do his job and find us another sponsor for something else. Sponsor something. I don't care what it is. Get some cash in and deal with these problems. We need to get another striker. Now, is Hugo Ekitike the one? I don't know. For me, look, I like the fact that Ekitike keeps saying that he's a Manchester United fan. I love that. But 100 million or 80 million or whatever he costs, anything more than 50 million for whatever he is not the right deal, even though I actually like the kid And I like the way he speaks of Manchester United. I don't think he's physical enough. He seems to me like a really skinny body. I don't know. We've been complaining about physicality in our squad for last season. Since Ruben Amorim came in, he kept saying, we're not physical, we're not physical. Getting a skinny, scrawny kid to play our front line, not exactly the best idea if you're looking for physicality. But he does have some gifts. He does have some potential. But if you buy him for any more than 40 or 50 million, you're stuck with him if he happens to not work out. If you buy him for 40 or 50 after 2 seasons, you could sell him for 25 or 30 and break it, get your money back, whatever. And that would be better off. For me, we go full steam ahead for Viktor Osimhen. Viktor Osimhen comes in. He does the job right. The man is a machine. The man has proven time and time again that he can work in almost any league and he can find a way to score you a goal. He is a physical specimen. He's great in the air. He's good with his feet. You just got to teach him to run the channels you want him to run because he's just not used to running into those channels. But I have seen him at Napoli. He liked to go out wide left. So now we just got to teach him that sometimes he's going to have to go out wide right or out wide left to run those channels that Ruben Amorim will want him to run. I think Viktor Osimhen has definitely got to be our number one target, and I think we can't be wasting time because PSG, it was my belief early on that if it doesn't go to Saudi, that he's going to end up at PSG because PSG don't play around. They always get the best of the best, and Viktor Osimhen is the best of the best striker. He really is. And if it doesn't happen, guys, my fear is we end up with Goncalo Ramos. That's my fear. We end up with PSG's leftovers once again. And some of you guys might really like Ugarte and think that I'm being harsh, but I like Ugarte. I just don't think he's a starter. I love Ugarte on the bench. Ugarte is perfect for whenever we're leading by 1 or 2 goals and we got 10 or 15 minutes left and we need to lock it up. Put Ugarte in. Take out somebody who's tired and who's creative and put in Ugarte and tell him to lock it up. We want to win this game 1-0. We got 15 minutes left. That's what I love Ugarte for. But Ugarte, as a starter, he's PSG's leftovers, guys. And so is Goncalo Ramos. He's PSG's leftovers. Goncalo Ramos, again, I would love if Goncalo Ramos was our second striker. If we had a Viktor Osimhen and Ramos on the bench, I'm all for that. Let's do that. But to bring Ramos in after watching PSG bring in Viktor Osimhen would break my heart, and it would show us that we're not serious as a club. If this ownership is serious, they got to start acting serious. Money is serious. Putting money in is how you show somebody you're serious. Now, some of you guys, again, you're going to tell me they already put money in. Dude, it's not enough. If it's enough, then why are we sitting here worried? If it was enough, why are we sitting here worried? Why are we sitting here worried we might not get Mbeumo? I think we will, by the way. But why are we worried that we might not get Mbeumo? Why are we worried that now that we don't get Gyokeres, who do we get? If we had money, we'd just go get Osimhen because he's not that much more. He really isn't that much more. If you break it down on a 5-year expense of what Osimhen's going to cost, he is not that much more. And the other thing that worries me is Jason Wilcox just happens to be really, really good with young talent. We just signed that young defender from Southampton who I have, I'm very happy to be doing things like that. I'm very happy to be signing £1 million players that are 16 years old to hopefully, if we hit on 1 out of 4 of those kind of signings, we more than did our jobs. Not every one of those kind of young signings has to work out. We just have to hit on 15 to 25% of them. If we're hitting on 15 to 25% of them and we're making 4 or 5 of those signings a year so that one of those is going to hit every year that we sign, obviously they're not going to hit until 3 years from now, until that kid is like 19 or 20 years old. But as long as 1 out of 4 is hitting, then that department is doing the right job in the academy. They're doing great. And the ones that don't hit, we could probably get a little bit of money back for them because we're only buying them for $1 million. And if we develop them for 3 years and they're 19 years old and not good enough for our squad, we could probably sell them for $2.5, $3 million. Maybe. Point is, though, Jason Wilcox needs to show me that he's also good at figuring out what adults, not kids, what players in their prime we're going to be able to attract, pay them the kind of wages they expect, and bring them in. Guys, I would be lying to you if I told you I'm not worried. A part of me is worried about what's going to happen and where do we go from here. I expect that when the window opens again on Monday, or maybe it's Tuesday, but it's opening again in 2 or 3 days, that you're going to start to hear about Arsenal putting bids in for Gyokeres, and I think that's done. I don't think they go for Šeško. It just makes no sense to me to go for Šeško now that they got this kind of, the talks with Gyokeres must have advanced so much for him to even leak this kind of thing, unless he's absolutely stupid. And I think that Šeško is just 3 million euros, 30 million euros, just too expensive compared to Gyokeres' price. So I think they're going to go in for Gyokeres, and even if they don't, I think we need to move on. And my fear is that we just don't do it right. That we look for a loan player, that we look at Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins or someone of that nature, instead of doing it right, locking it in for the next 3 years for sure, and knowing that we got the right player in who's going to play there for us for the next 3 years, because we have so much building to do that gambling on a striker is not exactly, doesn't give me comfort. And the only strikers out there that are not gambles are Viktor Gyökeres and Victor Osimhen. Anybody else is going to be a gamble. And if you're going to gamble, then you got to gamble young for cheap so that you can dump them. But if you go after Hugo Ekitike, which again, I like that he wants to play for us. I like that we're his favorite club. If you're paying over 50 million for him and he doesn't work out, you're stuck with him for years and years, the way we've been stuck with players before in the past. And I don't want that anymore. And by the way, I think Garnacho needs to go, like, as soon as possible, because I don't think our owner is going to inject not even one more pound. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's not going to put a hand in his pocket and give us not even one more pound. So we need Garnacho to be gone as soon as possible, because we need to start moving on our targets. We need to close the Mbeumo deal, and we need to get a striker in. And then we'll worry about goalkeeper and midfielder after some sales. Those are easier to fill. There's not that many strikers out there. And honestly, there isn't a replacement for Mbeumo. There really isn't. There's a lot of creative attacking midfielders out there. There isn't one with his work rate that I've told you guys about before. There isn't one that presses as effectively as he does. He provides so much for us, especially in a team where we always complain about we don't have legs. Mbeumo is a necessity. I've seen a lot of things lately where people say, if you could only have either Gyokeres or Mbeumo, which one? And I never answer those things, because I'm like, no, we need both. There is no which one. We need both. Now, if we're missing out on Gyokeres, then we need Osimhen. But Mbeumo, I can't think of a replacement. I can't think of an attacking midfielder who has the same assist and goal output and also is really, really good at pressing and has as many sprints as he does. The guy sprints like a machine. He is really, really fit. So we need to wrap that up, and we need to go get us an Osimhen. Guys, thank you very much for being with me. I know it's a short video, but I'm really, really pissed off. And if I keep talking, I'm going to start saying some bad things about INEOS and where I think this summer is going. But I need to be patient. I need to see what's going on. Maybe they did tighten the screws on Gyokeres and say it's either now or never, and that's what led to this. And if that's the case, then I'm okay with it. And that's why I'm thinking that that's the case, because if that's not the case, then I've got a lot of bad things to say about INEOS and for how much time they've wasted on this deal that they shouldn't have wasted. Now, if they started feeling like they might be wasting time and they said, nah, we got to start putting an ultimatum on this man, now or never, and this happened, then good. Great job, INEOS. Let's move on then. Let's move on. What's next? You just checked on Ekitike. He's too expensive. Are we gonna pay that kind of money? I don't think we are. Just don't tell me there's a world where we don't get a striker. Don't tell me there's a world where we go into next season without an established striker to lead our line, and we go through the same thing that Ruben Amorim went through last season, where he's just going to be sitting there grabbing his head talking about maybe I should quit, maybe I should leave. Because honestly, he can't work with this squad. He cannot work with this squad. Somebody else would have to come in, somebody who's going to be okay with sitting back and hitting on the counter, because that's all this squad's going to be good for. If we don't get a man who can lead the line, who can play with his back against goal and get us moving up the lines into the opponent's third. Let's see. Let's see what happens next week. I think that there's going to be a lot of things coming out in the next 3 days. I'll make a video on Tuesday night and release it on Wednesday, guys, because I think that this is the beginning of the new tidal wave that's coming of news. And I think by Tuesday, we're going to get some new things. And I hope that new thing isn't just, we wrapped up on Boomo, we're done. That can't be it. It's got to be, we wrapped up on Boomo. That should just already happen. We wrapped up on Boomo, and either a big sale that's going to bring in some money for us, or another striker that we're starting to really starting to put our money towards and starting to really go after. Let's see. I'll make a video Tuesday night. You'll see it on Wednesday. Thank you so much. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. Thanks, guys. Bye.